So during this time, we are entering the age of neoclassicism or the neoclassical age. And it's an interesting period of literature, and it has its roots in a lot of the scientific development of the age. There's this focus on observation, on experimentation, on figuring out how the world works, but it's also concerned with the discoveries of people like Sir Isaac Newton. There's this emphasis on the laws and order and structure. So in some ways, um, these ideas of order, logic, restraint, accuracy, correctness, and so on would really enable the practitioners of various arts to imitate or reproduce the structures and themes of Greek or Roman originals. So we have in this time period this kind of restoration of the Greeks and the Romans, but more than that, and to another extent, neoclassicism represents a reaction against this optimistic, exuberant, and enthusiastic Renaissance view of man as a being fundamentally good and possessed of infinite potential for spiritual and intellectual growth. So if you remember back to the establishment of humanism with the Renaissance, they thought that man was good and man could is fundamentally inherently good. And neoclassicist theorists, by contrast, see men as this imperfect being who's inherently sinful, whose potential is limited. And they place an emphasis on order and reason, on restraint, on common sense, and in some ways a lot of conservatism. And they maintain that man himself was the most appropriate subject of art and saw art itself as essentially pragmatic, as valuable because it was somehow useful and as something which was properly intellectual rather than emotional. So in all of these works that we are reading, there is some sort of intent to be useful. Literature is now a tool for instruction, for change, and you can see that there is also this emphasis on proper subject matter and their attempts to kind of employ in their work concepts like symmetry, proportion, unity, harmony, and grace, which would facilitate the process of delighting, but also instructing, educating, and correcting the social animal which they believed man to be. So that's kind of the idea that I want you guys to go with into this unit, is thinking of literature as this instructive tool that has rules, that has laws, that has order, and that's really established in people like Dryden from last week when he kind of begins this emphasis on literary criticism, but also with people that we're reading this week, such as Samuel Johnson and Addison and Steele on John Locke. All of these people write to instruct, to provide some sort of in didacticism in forms of teaching the public something in some way. So hang with me and we'll talk about the authors of our pieces this week.